Shalom, sweet people. I am Maker Strong. My Maker makes me strong. This is part, I don't know how many times I've tried to make this video, but I'm going to get it out here, okay? Trigger warning, I am going to talk about racism in Mexico and race relations, I should say, in Mexico. And if you get triggered by stuff like that, then this is your time to leave, and I will see you on the next one, all right? But I do believe that this is important. Like for people who are really considering moving to Mexico, especially if they look like me, these are some things that you probably need to consider because, like, look, we all know that the good outweighs the bad. If that were not the case, I wouldn't be here. You wouldn't see that growing population of us in Playa del Carmen. You wouldn't see the things that you see happening in the tourist areas where more of us are going over there, right? Um, so the good does outweigh the bad. However, there is bad, and you need to know. Okay. So what's going on in Mexico is last year, and when I say last year, I don't mean like a year ago. I mean like I think it was September, October, where you had these Afro Latina and Afro Latinos who were protesting the fact that on the books they cannot get a birth certificate if they look like me and they're Mexican. It's like they can't be Mexican. And also there was the protest about um certain actors, and they weren't even, I mean, they weren't as dark as me. They didn't present like me at all. But even they were considered dark, and they were getting roles on soap operas like The Maid and like The Help, so to speak. They could not get roles that would spotlight their acting ability or anything like that. And so they were protesting that. And then also like the models and stuff like that were talking about how they don't get paid the same amount. This is the same stuff you hear in the United States. Same stuff. And so to know that that's going on is something to keep in mind because like regardless of whether people are nice to you and they smile at you and stuff like that, there's also this underbelly that goes on, and I just want to hip you to it, okay? So the fact that you've got the national people of the land who are presenting like me, they're protesting, the injustices, and we can't sit there and close our eyes to that, okay? So I mean, there are sisters and brothers in the diaspora, and whatever is happening with them, believe it or not, even if you're a foreigner and you can say, well, um, that's not my situation. No, it is your situation because that's how the people are viewing, right? Number two, the the rudeness of the men, married or not. So as a single woman, when I'm walking around, I usually try to use the buddy system because um, that's just a safe thing to do no matter what. But I have been on my own a couple of times when I've run to the store to go get something or, um, just different things. And I've been asked different questions by taxi drivers, Uber drivers. Try not to take taxis in Mexico if you can help it. That's I'll have to do another video about that. Oh, excuse me. But the men, they seem to be very emboldened to ask very sexually charged questions. Not all of them, okay? But the ones that do, do. And the problem is that that they probably would not do that if you looked like their sister or their mom or their daughter. They wouldn't. And I have a very personal story about that. I don't want to go into it because I on the last video I did and it went long, so I won't talk too much about that. But I will say, like, yeah, it's as crass as anything that you can think of. That's what I'm talking about, and um, it's like very rude. And the only thing you can do is just meet it right where it stands and either ignore it, but I would say maybe not ignore it if they're being creepy, like following you and stuff. But if you can't ignore it, just ignore it. But otherwise, you might need to meet it at the pass and say, look, that's rude. That's very rude. And yeah, so I don't think they would do that to their own people. Maybe they won't. Maybe they would. Maybe it just doesn't matter. But it's either the sexual overtures or it's kind of that where I've had Ubers that it was almost like when they saw it was me that they were picking up, you could see that little masking drop where they're like, oh man, I hope she doesn't stink or something like that. Okay, and I'll go into that in just a second. All right, so a part of that attitude is that that feeling, and I can't really describe it, but it's almost like they're apologetic to know you. I hope I don't go too far in this talking about this, but I have people that are like family in this area, and even they treat me like that. When it's just us, everything is cool, everything is fine, everything is groovy. But then you get in a setting where other people are, and there's this uneasy feeling, which I pick up energy, guys. I am like a freaking energy vein with my empathy. I feel what they feel, and it's like you can feel the thickness happen if we've ever been to the grocery store or to the mall, and it's almost like they are making themselves push through the discomfort, but the discomfort is there. And I don't know what to do about that because I'm just me. I'm just living my life. But if it's like they don't want other people to see that they're with me, you know what I mean? And I don't know what to do about that no matter who it is. Because if you don't want to be around me, or if I make you uncomfortable, I want you to get as far away from me as possible. Because again, I can feel that. You can smile all you want. I feel it. Okay? And I used to think it was a curse, but I know it's a blessing. It's a superpower. Okay? I'm gonna call it my superpower. And so it's like, but I felt it with plenty of people that I might have asked to assist me in like talking to me. Like I had to give a heat. That remember I told y'all I bought another heater. Well, I had to turn one of the heaters back in. And as much as my Uber driver, like he's cool, very cool. But at the same time, I could kind of feel like he was like a little bit like, I don't really want to be like, I don't want them to think that we know each other. So I'm going to make sure that I'm letting them know that I'm just here to interpret for you. I'm just here to help you, but I don't really know you, which we don't. We don't really know each other. But it's still kind of like I don't want people to know that I know you. It's a weird. Okay, let me just give you an example, and I'm gonna go ahead and I'm watching the time. Imagine you're cool with somebody at work. Okay, I'm talking to these folks. Okay, now imagine you know them from work. They're always kind of like girlfriend. And then you happen to see them at the store with their husband and their children. And then all of a sudden, it's like, hey, and then they're like, oh, hey, how are you? Yeah, it's nice to see you. It's like that. And so imagine that no matter who you're talking with, it's like that in your mind, if you see somebody at the store like that, you're wondering, why are you acting like this? Because at work, you're all in my face and you don't want your husband to know that you talk to me. Like, you don't want your children to know. Well, what is the deal? Like, did I do something? Why are you acting weird? You know? And so that's how it is. It's like I can feel that they're forcing themselves to be nice to me, and but it's almost like I'm really uncomfortable. I don't want people looking at me talking to you. But because I am a socialist and I know I'm supposed to be polite to everybody, I'm gonna be polite, but I hate this. Yeah, like that. All right. So, what's the other part of that? So, there's this growing sentiment of Haitians coming into Mexico and taking jobs. Okay, what happened? You guys know how the United States treated the Haitians. Even though the United States took in all these people from Afghanistan, all these people from Ukraine, they take in anybody that don't look like us, right? And they say it's humanitarian. But what they push those people back into the water, they literally put them people back in the water when they tried to roll in their little kayaks or whatever they had onto Florida shores. They did not allow them to come in, even for political asylum. And that was real political asylum. It wasn't some fake war that they started and they had to bring, try to be the devil and the angel at the same time, like they always do, right? This is people who are truly fleeing for their lives, and they wouldn't take them in. Mexico took them in, and they gave them a quick, what you call it, work permit so that they could get jobs because they didn't want them to just be here because there's no like welfare, social security. There's nothing like that in Mexico. So it's like, okay, we're bringing these people in. We're going to give them a card where they could at least get a job. They're going to expedite it for them. So that's another thing that's also like positive about how they treated them. Okay. All right. But then there's that growing sentiment amongst the people here who are like, when they see people that look like me, they don't know if I'm from Nicaragua. They don't know if I'm Haitian. They don't know what I am, but they don't like the Haitians. And even the Nicaraguans that came in, I think the Nicaraguans are gone from Monterey. I don't know where they went to, but there at one point there were a lot of people from Nicaragua here who were begging on the streets. And it was like they make the place ugly because they're out there begging. Now, not to say that there's not other people who don't look like them who are begging all the time and walking up to you and trying to get you to pay into some nonsense that they just put on a piece of paper and put in your face. Okay, I'm going too deep. Okay, but I'm saying you see beggars all over the place. You see homeless all over the place. But it's like those homeless are the problem, right? Those beggars make the street look dirty. All right? All right. Oh, what else? Yeah, so that sentiment about the Haitians has started like this idea that the Haitians are taking a job. Same thing that they say about Mexicans in the United States. Oh, they come in there, take all our jobs. Okay, whatever. But there's also the sentiment against people who are coming in to help the population, right? because they're like, well, y'all are driving up the cost of everything because y'all are gentrifying the place. Now, most of the people who are buying land and putting up their resorts and stuff, they don't look like me. Okay. People that look like me that are coming to this place are not usually buying up land. They might buy their house, they might have a business, okay? But these resorts and these things, they're done by people who are palm colored and have something to do with the cartels. Most of us don't have anything to do with that. You know, in my case, I couldn't afford to live in the United States. I couldn't afford it for many reasons, but I couldn't afford it. And so it's like I'm not a baller here, but at least I have a reasonable way of living. I can at least know that I'm going to eat food every day. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like mentally you would think that they would know it's not us that's coming in and driving the cost of everything up. But they're not going to say anything against these folks because that's mejorando la raza. And when we come in, they don't want to see too many people that look like us because we're making them dirty. What if we get with one of their men, their wonderful men who cheat on their wives and explicitly sexualize people that they think, like that's really somebody I want, right? Anyway, um socialism. Let's talk about that real quick. So even though people here they say it's a socialist country, they say that they are capitalist. There is a sense of capitalism here, but it is socialist. Everybody has to do what everybody else is doing. If you stand out too much, you will be socially shamed. And that also contributes to that idea of I don't want people to know that I know you because if somebody I know sees me talking to you, especially if we're too chatty and buddy buddy, they might think that we're related. They might think that I might be black, and they don't want that. Oh no. There's a lot of caring about how other people feel about stuff and thinking about what another person who has nothing to do with their life anyway, just thinking about the thoughts of what somebody else might think about them enjoying your company. Like inside they know they enjoy your company. The inside they know that they're happy because it's a different vibe. Like I said, I can feel these things. But then it's like in public, I can't let people see me with you. I'll do something for you, I'll help you, but just let's not flaunt it that we're friends. Let's not flaunt it that we know each other. Let's just kind of, and I mean, I've learned, when I'm in public with certain people, um, I respect that that's how they feel. I don't feel that way. But if that's the way it is, and it's the culture because they've been conditioned by socialism that being different is bad, you know? And so that conditioning is deep. That's the same thing as like people in my community who, when we were going through whatever we were going through during slavery, there's no way that they went and sought help from a psychologist, a psychiatrist. Hell, they didn't even really go to the doctor when they were sick. And that's another reason that a lot of people in my community, they just suffer with stuff until they get really sick and then they die. Because there's a part of us that's like, you're going to have to suffer through certain things. It's just a part of life. That's not true. That's not true. But that is what allowed them to deal with being slaves. That's what made sense to them, that life is about suffering. And I'm here to tell you that life is about learning, growing, and living and loving. Yeah. So I realized that my vibe is different. And I'm not going to try to assimilate and bring my vibe lower. All I can do is just say, hey, if you guys know that this is what it's like, you know, maybe that needs to be something that informs your decision about how much of that you want to deal with. Now, I'm saying if you're a family, it may not be that bad because a lot of times if a guy sees a man with you, they're not going to bother you. Matter of fact, they just might be like, "Oh, hey, they might be more and more friendly." Like most socialist countries that I know of, the people are very friendly. They are because that's what they're taught to be. They're taught to be like cordial to people. It's it's nice, but like I said, it's sometimes very fake. And then when you try to have a deep discussion with people, they won't because it's like you're talking about emotions, feelings, and stuff. We're not supposed to entertain those types of things. We're supposed to just pretend that everything's wonderful. And if I lie, you can't tell somebody that I lied on you. That's not polite to me because even if I lied, I mean, you still have to just go with it. Even if I did something that was dastardly and underhanded, I mean, you can't call me out on that. That's not polite. So that's what Mexico is like. So yeah, you'll find a lot of polite people because they're just really groomed to be like that. But if you're even this much empathetic, you'll be able to see that it's like what it is. Sometimes it's for money because they might say, "Hey, if she is from the United States, maybe if I'm extra nice, I'll get a really juicy tip." And I know me, I am a very good tipper because I'm very empathetic about that. I've worked in service industries ever since my first job. So I'm very empathetic about people trying to hustle and make money. But but I know that a lot of times it's like you're being nice because I'm tipping you. You're being nice because I'm paying you. And I'm not going to not pay you to prove some kind of point because that's my pleasure. You see what I'm saying? That's my pleasure to tip you because I can't sleep well if I know you came all the way over here to bring my groceries. You know what I mean? I don't have a car and I know gas is not cheap and Uber is only going to give you $5 for you going and picking up all my groceries, bagging them up, driving them in your own personal vehicle and sitting them at my door. And they're like, "Oh, that's good enough. Give them $5." No, I can't do that. I can't. But that doesn't mean take advantage of me. It just means that that's who I am. I'm not going to allow you to, I won't allow nobody, nobody's going to take advantage of me anymore ever again. Okay, I can just tell you that right now. But as far as me thinking that people are being nice just because they're nice, I don't think so. I don't think so. I think there's always money. There's always that because this area that I live in, especially, there's a lot of poor people here, and that's their life. I mean, it's sad. It's like that extra 10 pesos makes a difference to them. That's why they'll turn your water off if you're one day late, even though all you owe is $3. They'll turn that bad boy off because they don't know if this person actually has 65 pesos. I think that's actually more than $3 now because the dollar dropped. It doesn't matter. My point. Yeah. That's how hard it is. People don't have $3 to pay their water bill. So when you live in a situation like that, yeah, you try to come up however you can. And if you got somebody that is willing to tip you, and it's like you can think of you might think I got the word sucker written across my face. And yeah, I have been. I have been, but not anymore. And I will never in my life mistake somebody being nice to me to being my friend. That is never happening again. So, just realize that people will be nice. People will be very cordial. Number one, don't ever tell them all of what's going on in your life, because a lot of times it's so that they can tell somebody else. And that's never a good thing. People are nosy. And it is also because it's socialist and they got to see who do you know, that kind of thing. Um, all right, this video is super long. I want to thank you guys who stuck in here with me in this video. And you know what? If you got all the way to this part, I am going to do a drawing just for you. Okay? I'm going to do my drawing on the 19th, but there's going to be a special drawing for you because this is a long video. So, when you, first of all, weigh in on how it is in your country, race relations and stuff like that. If you've got something in the comments about that, I will put your name in a special drawing just for this video. All right? Um, anyway, I hope this was helpful to you guys who look like my cousins. Um, I mean, I told you about a bunch of negative stuff, but I'm telling you that the good does outweigh the bad. It's just you know what it's like for us all over the world, even in Africa. We can't even be on those grounds without outside people coming in and thinking they could just control the spot. It is what it is, but it's changing. It's changing. And I just want you guys kind of like just be aware before you just think this is paradise. You know what I mean? I just want you to be aware of that. Okay. So, like I said, weigh in the comments. I'm going to do a special drawing just for you guys. All right. Shalom.